We want to welcome you guys to the Spitball Media podcast. Normally, every week at this time, we would be watching movie trailers, going over movie news, making very crude jokes, joining in the chat, talk, just anything related to the movie industry, which is what we built this around together. But there was just no way to do that now currently. As everyone more or less knows, one of my siblings, my older brother, Kevin Castle, who was a prolific wrestling podcast person, going back to call-in shows and going back to the early days of before there was an internet and people, doing dial-up shows and chat rooms and things like that. Him and Don Tony, whether you love him or hate him, they were the thing for a while, and they really sort of were doing it when no one was doing it and no one knew what the medium was going to be. My brother has passed away. He passed away Monday afternoon at 56 years old. It's very important to me due to the nature of how many people we connect with together and collectively that we do something like this because it would just be, I just couldn't imagine not doing it. Shaheen, I, actually, Kevin before you and I know each other.
Well, I knew of Kevin.
Yeah.
I spoke with Kevin a bunch of times because I was obviously working with Don Tony with graphics and stuff like that. But I mean, as far as actually speaking to him, I got to speak to you prior to Kevin. But I did get to interact with him a decent amount of time.
And that was, we had the hot tag back then.
Man, it's crazy.
It's a long time. That's a very long time ago.
Well, my timing is off because I actually
is it the weed?
Obviously. Possibly
getting behind that blunt.
Obviously, with this loss, like it put a lot of things in perspective for me myself because I've lost touch with a lot of people that I actually hit Boxman up and apologized, and I hit up Anthony Alston. I actually just got off the phone with Anthony like 20, 30 minutes ago.
Oh my gosh!
And he told me that apparently I stopped doing the show in 2018 or 19. So I mean, I don't think I was doing THC by then.
Okay.
I think I just wasn't doing podcasting at all.
Wow. Jeez, that's something. And Bisha Brian, you go back to the early, how far back do you go with the soup and being a soup adjacent Don Tony, Kevin Castle, and so forth?
God, it had to be 2016, 2017, maybe even 2015. I remember, the Jim Cornette shoot interviews and stuff, and the kayfabe commentaries were popular.
Kayfabe commentary.
Yeah, and then I found TV tracks on YouTube and started hearing clips of. We needed TV tracks to spread those.
I know. There should be a documentary on Dark Side of the Ring of TV tracks.
Yeah, so that's how I found those guys. I found Salamonster, and then through DTKC, I found Soup, and then became friends with you. So probably maybe. When did Punk leave WWE? Was that 20?
Oh, that's a good question.
Was it 2013?
Was that long ago? Was it? Wow. Okay. I could have sworn it was 2014. Oh, yeah, you might be right. 2013.
So it was before that. It was like 2010, 2012-ish, maybe
2014. Some people say people saying 2014.
Yeah. So just a little bit before that, but that far back, like spending Monday nights in chat rooms after Raw and Thursday nights, in the chat room for Soup. And it's funny that the people that have really commented the past couple days, it's almost like a reunion of sorts, just seeing all these names coming through that I haven't either interacted with in a while.
It's true.
With growing up and not following wrestling as much anymore, I'm not as active. Like I still listen, I still lurk sometimes in like the Discord, but it's interesting to see all these faces from the past coming forward.
Yeah, that is true. You know what, Shah? It's funny. As soon as Bisha said that, the first thing that popped in my head was, oh yeah, and Shah's talking about Boxman. Like I haven't heard Shah talk about Boxman in like 100 years. It does almost feel like there's some sort of reunion of sorts maybe taking place.
Yeah, I mean, just to go back on your previous question, so the first time I actually heard of Kev and Don Tony's show was in 2011, I want to say.
Wow.
Because I started calling into a show called In Your Head in 2011, and they were beefing with Don Tony and Kevin Castle. So that's how I found out about their show. So I mean, the first time I listened was probably 2011, I want to say.
Okay. And B show, you think it was about 2014 because that's when Punk left?
Oh, it
That's
was
a long
before that.
time
That's what I was trying to
before that.
figure out because it's weird. It's almost like religion. You bookmark with certain historical events,
Yeah,
like BP, B Punk. Yeah, it was like 3 years
before Punk and
BP.
after Punk, BP and
Yeah,
AB.
yeah. So it's probably like 2010, 2011, somewhere in
Meanwhile,
there.
Punk's back, so it's just he's not gonna ever go anywhere probably
It is
ever again.
so fucking this year has been so weird.
Well,
You know.
it hasn't been great, but I listen. I am I have a lot going on. Okay, but to me, it's important because you know Kevin, as much as he did in music, but again, and we'll get to some of that stuff, but as much as he did, and people recognized him through music as like Kevin Castle from the club Castle Heights in Jackson Heights, Queens, in the '90s, and other clubs he worked at like Voodoo Lounge and Blackthorn and Lucky 13, and he managed a couple of bands and managed some tours and stuff like that. Nothing compares to the impact that he clearly has made on people in the wrestling sphere. This was somebody who spent, I mean, I'm just spitballing here, no pun intended, but like 45 years watching wrestling, going to the old, MSG, WWF shows, buying buying VHS, tape trading, all the magazines. He was, it's crazy shot too, because aside from everything else, Kevin actually was a legitimate wrestling historian. Like he knew about the old territories and he knew about AWA and he could tell you about Mid South and World Class and who was the champ and who, and what was going on at wrestling. And I just feel like we just don't hear about that kind of shit anymore.
No, and yeah, I mean, I've kind of been checked out of wrestling for a while, but even till like the last episodes I was listening, I mean, he was mentioning like Florida Championship Wrestling and Georgia Championship Wrestling. So I always did appreciate that because again, my love and passion for wrestling was back in the '90s. So
Yeah.
anytime he mentioned anything '90s, like that's my time. You know what I mean? Attitude Era was cool, but like after that, I never looked at wrestling the same. And
Yeah.
that golden era is what he always kind of praised, and I kind of connected with that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that
man.
was a golden era for sure, man. Bisha, what's your golden era in wrestling? Because I know you were a Ring of Honor guy when it's heyday.
Probably the '80s to '90s era. I mean, I love the Attitude Era. It was amazing to live through, an amazing
Yeah, it
time.
really was.
But like it's rare anymore. But when I go back and watch old matches on the network, it's stuff from the '80s or stuff from the early '90s. I don't usually go very much past that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's a good time. It's very wide
mhm.
open territories, and there was, and there was big audiences. That's why it existed. And I don't know about you guys, like with geographically, but I did not have any form of cable. So TBS, and we didn't have that. There was with cable didn't even exist where I lived at that point in time. So I had to buy magazines with like Wahoo McDaniel on the cover, who was probably dead for 3 years by the time the fucking magazine came out. And it's like Chief J Strongbow and Ivan Koloff stabbing each other with pens. But he was like a wrestling historian, like he really, really was. And I do feel like had he had a different personality, he could have been like a Meltzer, like an Alvarez, like a Sap, like I mean, it's nice that some of these people are mentioning him and all this other stuff, but he really should be thought of in that category, because there's not a lot of people that have that kind of knowledge that can tell you, like Shah said, Georgia. Shah, I'm sure, like if you said who was Georgia Championship Wrestling champion in like the summer of '89 or whatever, like, oh, that was Magnum TA, like like there's just so like you just don't hear about this anymore.
Yeah, for sure, man. And like, similar to you, like I didn't grow up on wrestling necessarily because I couldn't watch it. So my way was through magazines also. And I'll never forget. And I'm sure if Kev was here, he would probably remember this. I'm not sure if either of you would remember this because it's so like underground. Um, but I'll never forget my first exposure to like hardcore wrestling, which is what I became obsessed with, was in the magazines, and it was Cactus Jack and Eddie Gilbert
Hmm.
in a no rule barbed wire match in Tri-State Wrestling Alliance, which
Jesus.
is before ECW in Philadelphia.
Wow,
This is
Tri-State
92
Wrestling
maybe?
Alliance.
92,
Yeah,
93?
look,
Oh,
TWA, man, 1991 and 2.
Yeah, I don't even remember that. That's crazy. I don't
Yeah, they
remember
put
that.
up bangers. Yeah,
Yeah, Kevin would be like, "Yeah, that was blah 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 blah," and blah, blah, blah,
because
blah,
it
and
was a
like,
legendary feud. I'm sure he would
yeah,
know about
he
Eddie
loved that.
Gilbert.
Eddie
and
Gilbert
stuff
was
like that.
his top
Yeah.
5. Eddie Gilbert was one of his top 5 because he was short and Eddie Gilbert was short. So that was kind of his thing too. Like that was kind of like a lot of his rationale. Is he short? Quick Draw Rick McGraw. That's one of my favorites. Who else? Eddie Gilbert. Like I think Dynamite Kid was not very tall. That was his criteria.
oh, let's not forget Al Perez.
Well, he loved Al Perez. He thought Al Perez was
Oh,
going to be. He liked Chris Champion. He thought Chris Champion was going to be like a breakout star, and he was he was just a very particular person. But he had a lot of connections to so many people. And B-Show, I know it's really going to be difficult to navigate this, but maybe we could just maybe go from the top of the chat there because there's just a lot. This is a lot. So and
oh
just
wow.
maybe we'll start. Yeah, that's why I said we probably should start reading some of these because
Well,
there's so many.
the cool thing is it's really conversational. So like as we talk about stuff, everyone's throwing in their own comments. So
Yeah,
um Indigo Uchicha says RIP Kev, my bro, love you, man. Looks like is that DJ Dell's the Dell
yeah,
show?
it's Dell. That's
RIP
got to be
Kev.
Dell's for sure. Yeah,
He posted a, pretty cool video earlier.
saw that. Yeah, I did see that.
Let's see. Giza 101 says RIP Kev.
All right, Giza.
Let's see. Gel. RIP Kev. I've been listening to Kev for the past 20 years, and for the last 10, I haven't even been too bothered about today's wrestling. Like DT, like Mish, I enjoyed hearing them each week. I've been doing that lately too. Like I haven't been watching wrestling, but I still listen to people.
Yeah, it's
Um,
still it's a different animal. I think listening versus committing to being like, oh, what's Jey Uso doing now?
yeah. And like I talked about with Rich Dow a couple weeks ago, it's like once you listen to certain people and you find your people, it becomes more than just the wrestling. It's them. It's how they
Yeah.
see
Oh,
the
for
world.
sure.
It's like an art form, man. Uh,
Yeah.
00 Dead Z, rest in peace, Kev. This sucks.
Yes, it does.
Marvin J, R.I.P. Kev. Heck Mel, this is still heavy. Much love to his family and friends and
Well, thank
supporters.
you, Mel.
R.I.P. Kev. Let's see. Freddie J, this hits me hard. Yeah. Uh, from the Dungeon TV, R.I.P. Kev Castle. Prince MVQ 3CS. RIP Kev, your promos would truly be missed, not only or not just by the DTKC family, but all those who had the privilege to hear you speak. Thank you, your friend 3CS.
Oh,
Backwards Baron Corbin. RIP Kevin Castle, thank you for everything. My friend Joe Punches. Here's to tonight. Here's to Kev. Here's to everyone and everyone else mourning in pain and remembrance.
Joe, thank you. I hope you're feeling better, by the way, Joe.
Yeah. Uh, this is a VM. RIP Kev, thanks to all putting this together. Thank you guys for checking it out. Incorrect, Larry. We will miss the leader of the Castle Crusaders. Be well, Kev.
Is that like the Toxic Crusaders? Who's in that Castle Crusaders? Like, is Drew Yari in there? Like, who's in there?
And your brother's alter ego is Bob Fresca. I always like that one. Let's see. Mike Aaron 2112, RIP Kevin. First met you in 95 and you had a leather jacket with a
Bang
Bang
Tango.
Tangos dancing on Coles painted on the
Yes.
back. I'll never forget that, but I would razz you about it years later.
Yeah. So Kevin in 95, which right around that time, I think I am doing nothing, but I wouldn't end for long. And then my younger brothers are starting to build up. Kevin is like a leather wearing, full on metalhead, denim jacket painted. And, he liked a lot of whack bands. But in 95, metal, like commercial metal, was still hair metal. It was grunge had pushed it into like the periphery, out of the periphery. I'm trying to think what was popular in 95. A lot of pop music. I don't know, 95. Grunge and pop
95 was like
music.
Blues
Yeah, it was
Traveler
grunge.
and Tracy
Grunge,
Chapman
but
and
then
stuff like
like there
that.
was also
Yeah.
like soon you would get boy bands and the Spice Girls and all that stuff. It was probably 97, 98. But yeah, Kevin had he liked this band Bang Tango. And they weren't terrible or anything, but it was like to see a guy in a leather jacket, Shah, with like a full-on acrylic painting on the back of an album cover of theirs. And let me just stop before I say anything else. He actually had Bang Tango tattooed on his arm and the album Dancing on Coals with their logo on it. Even for 95 Shah, this was not common.
That's pretty awesome. I was always curious about his tattoos. because I haven't seen too many pictures of him, but I know he was pretty tattered up, and he said he had some wrestling tattoos. I know you mentioned he had an Undertaker tattoo, I think.
Yeah, he had an Undertaker tattoo. He had his hands like from his hands up to his neck.
Did he have any
And
other wrestling related ones, or was it just Taker?
he had a Moondogs tattoo. No, I don't know what he had. Honestly, I don't know what he had. We never. That's the fucking weird thing too. Like I couldn't. I know like my brothers probably don't know much about like my tattoos, and I don't know shit about my brother's tattoos. Like it's just not that we never talk about it or anything like that. It's just when I got the Elvis thing from my dad, the TCB, like within 3 days, two more of them got it, and like Kevin put it on his neck. Is that the Undertaker? No, that's I can't
Th-
see.
This was something he did, obscurechaos.blogspot. They talked to him about his tattoos. It's
Mm.
like an angel woman, it looks like, with a
Oh, that
burned
came out good.
halo.
That looks pretty good. I don't know how old that is. Yeah, it's hands. That had to hurt like a motherfucker.
I know he was
Yeah.
big on horror movies too. I wonder if he had any horror ones.
No, he didn't have any horror movie tattoos. That I would probably Mike or I would know. He had a lot of like black work and like metal shit. You know, he
Well,
had
this
like,
red face, I can't tell if that's a devil or the Undertaker.
that is from an album. That could be from a Bang Tango album cover, actually.
Ah.
That could be who has multiple Bang Tango tattoos. And then of course he has his castle,
Mhm.
Castle Heights. That actually
That's
is
it.
the front of the club Castle Heights. Um, wow, I haven't seen some of those in a long time. Some of those go back. I'm sorry, Bisha, where were we in there's just so many of these, my
Yeah,
gosh.
next
I'm
up,
I'm very grateful for them, but I don't want to miss anybody.
yeah, no, that's all right. Mike Aaron, which is Roxy Mike,
Roxy
give
Mike,
his condolences.
thank you, Roxy Mike.
Marquise says
Good
R.I.P.
friend Marquis.
Kev. Chris Salima, R.I.P. Kev. I remember becoming a fan in 2015 and didn't look back. And when I joined X, Kev was the first person to follow me back.
Wow. Holy shit. And you remember that. That is wow. Jeez.
Ryan Gottschalk, R.I.P. Kev. John, I commend you for continuing to be very real about him.
Thank you. Yeah, some people don't like that, but I'm too old to play fantasy booking. There's a lot of ugliness around this and a lot of sadness, but this is really more about the people who know Kevin Castle, not Kevin Scandato. Unfortunately, they were not the same person. It's very Andy Kaufman-ish, I know, but like it's just not. It's a complicated animal as far as that goes. But this is something I wanted to talk with you guys about, and we might as well just do it now if you don't mind.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
fine.
because you both have internet personalities and you both have social media personalities, but you also both have outside interests. And one of the things that's come up in the few people that I've spoken to about this on online and in the podcast world, in the spaces and whatnot, is that there's a big difference you know and that is troubling. Like that in and of itself to me, Shah, is troubling because I'm at the point with you and Bisha right now where there is no difference between the conversations we have on the air and the conversations we have off there. There's not even remotely a difference, because that's just what I'm saying, Shah. It's like because you've done like podcasts and interviewed wrestlers, stuff like that, but you never like took on like a gimmick or a persona to do it.
Yeah, I don't even have that in me to do that. I'm not nearly like as outgoing, which I guess outgoing is probably not the best word to use when it comes to Kev, because I feel like we're
Personable,
kind of
think personable.
yeah. I'm not as friendly probably as he is. So yeah, I mean, I never had like a character or anything like that. I think
Yeah.
also it's funny because when I was talking to Anthony earlier, because he just launched his YouTube channel.
Oh, shout out
And
to Anthony's a friend of
yeah,
mine.
it was under his like government name, and I was like, dude, you don't want to do that. Like, I would
Yeah.
definitely change the name because I was like, yo, man, we'll add it to the plugs, but I don't want to give out your government name and tell people because like, people will troll you, and I'm sure Kev has probably dealt with a million trolls over the
Oh
years.
God, yeah, he's original
You know,
trolls.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I never picked up a gimmick when it came to
A
the
gimmick,
internet.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that and be sure, like it's not a question of your name. I'm really talking about a personality change. Like, oh, the camera's on. Hey, everybody! Like like it's just like
I can't
literally
even
there's
do that. Like my
there's like
tongue
no
I would throw up on myself if I just like, hey, everybody, welcome to the. Yeah, I can't. I'm just not.
yeah
It's not even in
yeah
me.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm talking about, B. Like, it's just there's no difference in the
Yeah, it's like sometimes you want to be exciting, or if you're having a bad day, you're like, all right, get your shit together so you're
yeah,
not a fucking
butch up. Yeah.
drag. But like I'm too lazy to come out and be like, come up with a persona, everybody. I'm the fucking crazy Midwestern guy. I'm the Appalachian Ron or whatever the fuck. Like
Appalachian Ron.
he's a
The
he's a
fuck is
door to
that?
door. He's a door
No
to door
wonder you don't
washing
have a
machine.
gimmick. You want to use the term Appalachian Ron.
It's a
And I'm
good
too
wrestling
random.
gimmick,
So
though.
That's a fucking
I'm
good
for it.
wrestling gimmick, man.
he's a door to door washing machine repairman who impregnates
Appalachian
women willingly.
Ron.
Yeah.
Woo.
But anyway, like I get your point though. It's like we just show up and we talk.
Yeah.
I'm too lazy to come up with shit or to think of fake stories and all this. It's just I think the real stuff that happens and the real interactions are interesting enough.
Yeah,
Um,
I do too.
but there are a lot of people I talked to my wife about this a couple weeks ago. I said, all wrestling fans on some degree at some point feel like they're a part of the show or they really think that like they're a character or something and they want to get into it. And I think you can get caught up in that. And we've seen
Yeah.
people, God, whether it's quote unquote
Balls there.
journalists or people in the business who
Mhm.
can't seem to break that, and they live and die by that. That it's not even kayfabe; it's just putting on a
No.
show.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And
It's 100 degrees in here.
no, it's all right. Like
Uh,
I just I feel bad that he felt like he had to do that, honestly, because the times I talked to Kevin, not as much as you guys. I wasn't as close to them. Obviously, didn't work with him, but like
well, he was very
he
tight with Appalachian Ron, but go ahead.
he was. I think he gave him his gimmick, by the way.
He gave him
But
his gimmick.
but so
Sorry.
that
I'm not
Appalachian
trying to
Ron thing is gonna
flash
live
people.
forever.
It's uh,
But like he just seemed cool to me. Like we would talk about horror movies, or
yeah,
like I'd point something about wrestling, and like you guys said, he knew exactly when and where it happened and who it was. So I saw that. I didn't know the other side like you did to be able to know what was truth and what wasn't, and what was
yeah,
exaggerated. And seeing as much as people like him, I wish someone could have told him, and I know people probably did, but to get through to him and say, you don't have to do that. Look at these thousands of people that are like mourning you right now and all week long
I
coming
can't
together
see
to
it.
tell you people how great you are. You don't need to do that. They like you for you, not because of your fucking
Yeah,
your gimmick that you put
and
on.
it's very humbling, but and unfortunately, it's very late in that game, and that's not the fault of anyone but my brother. He was playing with house money. And this is stuff I've confided in you too for a bit now, just like like Joey, myself, Joey, Mish, and even DT. None of us with a straight face could look into a camera and go, "Yeah, we didn't know a lot of this was actually going on." None of us could say that. And it's frustrating because this was an avoidable circumstance. This was not someone who was fighting cancer for many years or was hit by a car or just bad luck. It's and that doesn't make it less sad or more sad. But Shah, there's a big difference between finding out a friend of yours is battling leukemia for a long time and may have um succumbed to it, or a friend of yours was in a car accident and is not going to wake up, than someone who over a long period of time is just very neglectful of their health, knows it's bad, and just is going to keep doing what they want to do.
Yeah, and I mean, even before I had a relationship with you, when I was listening to the show, I could hear and sense the sadness. Like I could tell he was depressed and alone. Like a lot of it you could feel. You know what I mean? Um, and I've been depressed before, probably not nearly as much as him, but you do start to neglect yourself and put things aside that are super important, like your health. And
Yeah,
I've done that. You know what I mean? Like I've
yeah,
almost died from MRSA multiple times because I was just like,
yeah.
it'll be fine. Like it's whatever, it's fine.
Didn't you eat
Um,
glass?
I did one time when I was drunk. Yes,
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, talk about
That's it.
neglecting health.
I mean, yeah, that's when I realized I can't like really like drink like that anymore, man. When I shattered a glass bottle of tequila on the floor, and my roommate tried to clean it up with the broomstick, and for some reason that pissed me off, and I started throwing the glass everywhere, and I picked it up and started chewing it, and I was bleeding.
Yeah, that's a fairly irresponsible health thing to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know who does shit like that though? Appalachian Ron.
It
He's
does sound
really
like
big.
Appalachian.
I'm so into Appalachian Ron. I don't even know what to say. But
I don't
Bisho,
know
you
where
know what
that
I'm saying.
came
And
from.
again, this is not. Look, I would just trying to have a real conversation about a very awful situation that is going to affect my family forever, never to recover, ever to recover. My family is in absolute shambles. But again, there are very different aspects of tragedies in life. This to me is a death of despair. I'm sure if we went around the room, we would all have an ailment or a person that suffered for many years through no fault of their own. And it's a very different. I don't. It doesn't make the pain less or more, but it is different.
It is because with that pain also comes a little bit of anger of like, why the fuck didn't you get your shit together? Why didn't you listen to
Oh, I'm
people? You know
very
what I
angry.
mean?
I'm eerily calm, but my anger is at a 40 out of 10.
Yeah. When my uncle died a couple years ago, people told him to stop smoking for like 20 years. And the thing that did him in is because he wouldn't stop. And he didn't keep himself active and stuff. He
Yeah,
just
my
retired
dad,
and kind of,
my dad.
yeah. So when he passed away, it's like, you son of a bitch. Why didn't you, just get your shit together? And that's a real thing. And I know when I first listened to you guys Monday night when you were talking about it, I did find it odd at first that you were being so candid about this.
Mm.
So I can understand why people were caught off guard by it, but at the same time, like this is how you figure shit out. This is how you learn from these things. Because you guys were talking about like, Mish would talk to him and he would say he's taking care of himself, and DT would talk to him and he's saying he's taking care of himself. He had people who like you or Trez or whoever were talking to him,
Yeah,
Chicky,
Chicky. Yeah,
telling him to take care of himself, and he just didn't do it. And I
yeah,
think that's the depression because someone mentioned in the chat. I wish I could go back and see, but they
yeah.
said they think
Yeah. I know we got to get back to the chat here a little bit
it's all
because
right,
this
but they
is
were saying they
overwhelming. But
think Kevin was trying to make it as a lone wolf
mm.
in New York, which is not easy to do.
Oh yeah, yeah. And by the way, whoever said that, that's a brilliant observation because for those of you not from the area, um, New York City is not a place that you make it by yourself. Wouldn't you say, Shah? I mean, what would you say if a friend of yours said, "Hey, I'm moving to New York City and I don't plan on having any friends or going out or whatever, and it's going to be fine."
Yeah, I would say it's definitely going to be challenging for you, man. I mean, I can't even. It's funny because most of my friends that I grew up with in Philly actually moved to Brooklyn. They all live in Brooklyn now.
Everybody lives.
But they probably have very different, paths of life.
Yeah,
They seem to adjust fine, but I honestly, like, I don't even know if I could adjust to New York City,
mm.
going there brand new. Because I mean, and when you don't have that many connections as far as your social life at that age, it's hard to make friends in your 40s and 50s. Like,
Oh, it's impossible to
it's
make friends in
you
your
know what I mean?
40s and
It's hard
50s.
to, yeah.
Trust me, you guys will not be doing it anytime soon. B, let's try to catch up a little bit with the chat. I know we're grossly behind, but
I'm gonna have to
By the
go
way, this is
way
a
back.
shout out to Kev. Rest in
yeah. By the
peace.
way, if everybody, Shah's tribute tonight. There's no
Just,
blunt, but there is chocolate flavored water.
they're terrible though.
They're
I can't coast
disgusting.
on these.
I
They
don't
are
think
just
I think he just likes saying the word "yoo-hoo" as a gimmick. I don't. That was his gimmick, though. That was his gimmick.
I honestly tried YooHoo one time because of him. I walked out of Meijer and threw it in the garbage. And I
Yeah.
texted him and said, "This
Nestle's
shit's
Quick is the
bullshit."
shit, though. I don't know if they
It
still make
is.
that. That's just the fucking bomb. I'll strangle
It
a
is.
motherfucker for that shit.
just very like watery. It's like teasing you with chocolate milk, but it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
water.
And it smells good. It's like, oh, this smells good. They
Yeah.
drink it. It's like, this is water with chocolate
Mhm.
flavor in it, not even syrup. Where are we in the chat there, B? I'm so sorry.
We're like 100 messages
Yeah,
behind.
we're gonna keep. Yeah, we're gonna keep it rolling here.
I'm just trying to find the damn stopping point. Jesus Christ, Mike. Okay, so Ryan
You were
Gottschalk,
backwards, Baron Corbin. I think
Don
Joe
Stoney. Here we
punches.
go.
Don
Yeah, Don
Stoney,
Stoney.
my friend.
Condolences to the entire Spitball family.
Thank you, Stoney. Rest in
Rich
peace,
B.
Rich
Kevin
B.
had a great voice that really sucked you into storytelling. He's going to be missed for sure.
Thank you, Richard.
Fatty. What's up, everybody?
Chris. I got to talk to my buddy Chris there offline.
Yeah, I know he and Chris talked quite a bit.
I
In
know
fact,
Chris is taking this pretty hard. I can
yeah, the
tell.
Bayou Geeks are going to be having a
Tomorrow.
tribute show to Kevin Castle, who he was friends with,
Oh,
8:15
yeah.
Central tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, because he's in Louisiana there. Yeah, I could. Yeah, I know Chris is not taking this good, and I know Chris. I know.
I
I'm
love you,
seeing
buddy.
you.
Chris is a good dude, man.
He's such a good dude, man. I know he's taking this bad.
Hey, now, Rich Dow did not expect a show tonight, but we're here.
Yeah, well, we're here for you guys. I just, it's impossible to keep up with this sort of demands of Kevin, and I feel obligated to people that care about him, that they get recognized because they made him who he was.
Joe Punchy says hello, dear friends. AEW neckbeards, miss you already, Kev.
Thank you, neckbeards.
Chris Salima, literally just thought about this. Kev's death was on the same week of the anniversary of one of his favorite wrestlers passed away, Ultimate
Yeah,
Warrior.
Shah, I think they were a day apart, right? Jesus Christ, that would have been too much. Shah,
I think
right?
so.
Right? It was a
Yeah, I
day
think so.
apart. Kevin passed
Yeah,
away
that was
Monday. The Warrior might have been too. That would have been too much. Jesus fucking Christ.
the Warrior right here, man.
Oh,
You know?
damn.
Ugh, that was Kevin's him and Undertaker were his favorites.
My favorite too, man. I love
Oh, I
Ultimate
know you're a
Warrior.
super Warrior
Terrible
fan.
wrestler, but I mean, dude,
Who
I
cares?
love the
Who
Anyway,
cares?
and another rest in peace also, man. I just found out that Nick
Nick
Gage's
Gage's wife.
died, dude.
Yeah, that's
So,
very sad. She
rest
seemed
in
quite
peace.
young. I don't know what the
She was
story
a
is
couple
there.
years older than me, man. I think she was like 41, 42.
Yeah, she was in her 40s. I really hope it's nothing terrible behind that, but it's terrible no
Yeah.
matter what. But
I just hope he doesn't relapse, man, because he just got clean. So, like, not gonna
that's
be
gonna
a fun road for him. But
yeah,
thoughts on him.
condolences to Nick and his family, and of course I saw that and I sent it to you guys. I was like, oh Jesus, it's a lot of bad news this week.
SP says, rest in peace, storyteller. Gonna miss that guy.
Yeah, the storyteller thing. Don Tony brought that up. That is my father, off the charts. Only a couple of us got that, but that is my father. My father would sit there and tell a story to anybody. My father was a charming man. Like he was just an incredibly charming person. And there's something about being able to tell a story. People, storytellers are unique. So that's a high compliment. Thank you.
AEW neckbeards is here. He says he watched an Al Perez match in Kevin's honor.
I'm waiting. I know eventually I'm going to get a message from Al Perez, and I'm just going to be like, "Fuck." I know it. I know it's
Is that what's
happening.
gonna finally break you? Because that was his
No,
favorite?
I don't think so. Because I
Okay.
didn't really, Al Perez is whatever, but and that's nice, and he knows Kevin's a super fan, but that's nice. I'm not shitting on Al Perez or that, and I'm planning. Anybody's planning on doing that, I'm not discouraging you. I'm just saying, like, that's gonna be like, oh, people are gonna hear that and be like, oh, Kevin is fucking freaking out right now.
Rams fan 086. I'm new to this channel. Came tonight to pay my respects to Kevin Castle.
Thank you, Rams fan.
Buddy Robbie Richmond. Good
Oh,
morning from the
I
UK.
was so happy to talk with him, man.
He is going to be on Rich Dow's podcast.
I saw that.
Tomorrow?
Is that
tonight
tomorrow?
after us, after we wrap up.
Tonight. All right. Well, that's a good friend of mine. Those are two good friends of mine right there.
Yeah. Rich Dow says Robbie is mental.
Mental.
DSG label says long live KC.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Now we're getting interactions. Don Stoney likes Rams, says glad he came by. Let's see. Trying to stick to the stuff about Kev.
Yeah.
From the Dungeon TV, Monday and Thursdays will never be the same.
Yeah. When I didn't even think about this, guys, but like when I was on with Don Tony after Raw Monday, Don Tony was just like, this is the last Don Tony and Kevin Castle show forever. And I was like, ooh, I didn't even, you know what I'm saying? Shall like, wow.
Yeah, and I definitely checked that show out. I mean, I told you I missed like the first 40 minutes because I couldn't figure out how to listen to the show anymore because I thought it was just strictly on YouTube. I'm glad I popped in though, man. I mean, but yeah, I didn't even think about it like that, man. When you put it in perspective like that, that's very
because he did say that during the show. I think he did actually say that at one point. This is the last Don Tony and Kevin Castle show, and I didn't think about it until afterwards. And I talked with Mish on the Spaces, and I was like, "Oh, it is. It is."
That hit me because you guys like know him, knew him, worked with him. He's your family, stuff like that. I've only known him through Twitter and through listening to their show. So when Don Tony said that, it just kind of made it final. It was like,
yeah,
oh fuck, it ain't
yeah.
happening.
And then they reconciled, and it's not a, it can't happen. And then I thought about Mania, and I brought that up on the Spaces, and I said to Mish, and I was like, Kevin, this is Kevin's first Mania, like not alive, like he never won't see.
It was hard hearing Mish choke up when he realized someone said, "What are you going to do about the Hall of Fame?" And it had not even occurred to him.
That was tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
And these things are going to happen, and they're happening to me. With the Mets, they're happening to me with certain other private things and other people in bands. The band Hatebreed, which is one of the biggest metal crossover bands ever of all time. Everyone knows who Hatebreed is. to put Kevin's picture and write a write up on Kevin because Kevin used to you book them before they were famous. It's fucking crazy, you know. I'm sorry, where are we in the chat there?
Next up was, oh, it keeps skipping ahead to the very beginning. This might
Oh,
be a little tough to keep doing.
oh
Do we
boy.
want to ask people to share like their
Well,
memories of where they've?
yeah, if they can, but I'd like to try to read as many as possible, all of them if we can. I could start like because I could probably get there. What was the last one we did? Let me see. 1 second.
Um,
Castle
I found it.
Crusaders.
I found it.
Okay, go ahead.
Uh, let's see. Soapbox Ant says, "I know more El Perez because of Kev Castle than anybody
This
ever."
is the most anyone's talked about Al Perez in a very long time. But thank you, Soapbox Al.
Let's see. Swerve Show. I haven't missed one of his shows on YouTube. I remember making a channel called Wrestle Soup because of Talk Soup and thought it would be
Wow.
awesome, and then saw his channel and was like, "Damn."
Oh my God. Thank you, Swerve Show.
Let's see. Lots of wrestling talk.
Is
Yeah,
it
it's all
people
kind of
posting nudes? Like what's going on in there?
no. They're responding to stuff we were talking about like 10 minutes
Oh, okay.
ago.
Yeah, we're trying to catch up. I know it's difficult.
Yeah. Freddie says the first time I listened to DT and KC show, my YouTube suggested a video of the Chris Benoit death and then finding out in real time what was really happening. I believe it
I
was
remember
Minority
that
Report.
show. I was
The
listening to
Minority
that
Report. That's yeah. Oh my God. You remember that, Shah?
Well, I remember it afterwards because he was, he had it always archived. So I didn't listen to it like live. I listened to it afterwards
Oh my
because
God.
Don Tony had mentioned it that they found out about it while they
While
were
on
on
the
the
air?
air.
I've heard of this
Yeah.
before. I've never heard it, but I have heard of
So I
this.
had to go and seek
Jesus
that episode
Christ.
out. But yeah, I probably listened to that
Jesus
episode like 10 years
Christ.
ago, maybe. I do remember that
Can
episode.
you imagine in the middle of a wrestling podcast being like, we have breaking news. Chris Benoit just murdered his whole family. Oh
And,
my God.
Well,
and
no,
plus,
I think
go ahead.
they were paying tribute to Chris Benoit. And they found out that he
Kevin
killed his
loves Benoit.
family.
I mean, I'm just saying it before,
Yeah. I
before
think that's
the
what it was.
murders. I love
Yeah.
Benoit. I have a friend, I don't want to say his name, but every now and then he'll text me and be like, still a fan. And I'm like, yeah, I know. He goes, I'll never admit it, but you know what I'm talking about. I go, yeah, I know what you're talking. He goes, still a fan. Like that by an old friend of mine.
I said earlier I don't watch much of the modern stuff or more recent stuff, but I watched him and Benoit at WrestleMania 17 a couple nights ago. God, it's still so good.
Oh, we should probably stop talking about Chris Benoit. Go ahead, B show.
Will T. What's up, Will?
Will T. What's up, Will?
I'm gonna miss Kev. I thought Kev was dope, and the wrestling pod space is worse off for this loss. Agreed, 100%.
100%. Yeah.
Let's see. JA says funny when Kevin would crap on people not knowing history.
Well, he did. He was an encyclopedia of that stuff.
Swerve Show. His voice was so unique. Young Portfolio. Gonna miss Kev's knowledge for sure.
Thank you, Young.
Let's see. Freddie says he started listening around 2015. Started listening to old shows and listening to the current shows. That's how he found Wrestling Soup and JD and Salamonster. Thoughts and prayers to John and the family. Kev for life.
Thank you, Freddie. And of course, before we proceed, Jason, Solomonster, and JD from New York. Wow. We have personal relationships with them, so it's a little different. I actually called them directly, and they took it very hard. JD in particular was not shy about how hard he took it. Neither was Jason, whether it was private or public. So, he was very. They were very complimentary. If you haven't heard their shows, because they both had to go live post Raw, and like JD was JD was calling me while I was on the phone with Jason, and then I called JD back, and I was just like, but I just two very big voices in the industry, New York guys, younger guys, to give that kind of love and respect to Kevin. That's just, I mean, and he loved them very much, and I told them both. They knew that they knew he had very strong feelings about them and the good work that they do.
Sitting up in the cheap seat says, "Oh my God, this brings it into perspective."
Wow.
He started listening to Kev when he was 36. Now he's 50.
Jesus, damn, Shah, 50.
And
Jesus.
you mentioned Solomonster, dude. When we linked up for the first time at the New York
Comic-Con, one of the Comic-Con. Yeah, Julian Cannon was there.
Yeah, it was me,
Yeah.
you, Julian, and Solomonster that met up. And I'll never forget Solomonster. One of the first things he brought up to you was how big of a fan he was of your brother.
Yeah, exactly.
Kev.
Yeah, so was JD. The first time I met JD, this is a true story. I'm not pulling JD up. I'm waiting for him outside of House of Glory with Mish, Joey, and Joey's wife. And I barely knew JD. I'm only there because of Kevin. And JD comes out and he's like, blah, 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 and we're talking, blah, blah. And then he brings me in and he's like, why isn't your brother here? Like, where's Kevin? Like, really want to see Kevin. Is Kevin going to be there tonight? Like, where's Kevin? And I'm like, he's not here, but I'm here. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, you know what I'm saying, Bisha? I was like the cheap substitute for the person they both really wanted to meet. And I know they know I'm teasing, but it really was like that. Like JD, like I can't talk about something else JD and I talked about, but I might talk about it in the Patreon. It's not insulting or anything to anybody, but it's private. But it was kind of like that. I do remember a lot of people, even at the meet and greets we've done, were very much like, where's Kevin? You know?
Well, yeah, because Kevin was around before you guys even were.
Oh, of course.
And you would think that if everyone's getting together for that stuff, which goes into stuff you talked about on,
Right.
you know, on DT show Monday night,
Yeah.
you would think he'd be there. In fact, I remember talking to you before I came out for Brooklyn for the music show.
Mhm.
And Mike, your brother Mike was there, and John. I think John. I'm sorry, Joe. Brother
Joe.
Joe is in
Yeah.
the chat room. I saw his name a minute ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got to talk to those guys for quite a while and got to know them. And other than Mark, who was doing his own thing, um, I was like, hey, Kevin's not here. And being a fan of Kevin's for a while, I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
But no, man, your brothers are great, dude.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. All right, where are we in this chat there?
Prince MVQ3CS, Kev had one hell of a promo.
He was watching wrestling for a long time.
Let's see. Jay Ace is a big wrestling fan from 87-ish,
That's
lost
a good
interest
time
in the
period.
last 10 years, looked more forward to DCKC Soup. John discussing it than actually watching. That's a trend. So many people, I think,
Yeah.
kept tuning into you guys to hear you talk as opposed to actually watching the shows.
Yeah, there was many people who have told me go back 5, 6 years ago when I was a regular on Soup, and it's just like, yeah, I don't watch the shows, I just listen to what you guys say about them, and I'm like, damn, that's
Dude, I was
wow.
like that for years. I would strictly listen to wrestling shows and I wouldn't watch wrestling. You know
But
what I
then you
mean?
only form the opinion of the people whose shows you're listening to, though, instead of
Yeah,
having
but it
your own
wasn't
opinion.
so much about the opinion. I wanted to say
Right.
like updated to wrestling, but then I
Okay.
got invested in certain personalities where I like them just talking about whatever. So I would just tune in and listen to
Mm,
them. You know what I mean?
okay. Yeah, no, I know. I'm sure that's very common, actually. I'm sorry, B. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's see. Now they're answering Ace of Base and Dave Matthews. This must have been like the 25 minutes ago.
This is like the
Um,
Soup Discord chat now. It's crazy.
I know. JW, it isn't a sad ending, but what this has shown us is that dopey thing called wrestling at its core can bring people together from all walks of life. Thank you, John, for speaking honestly and openly.
Well, thank you, JW. I think it's important to do that. I'm going to continue to do that through this process. And as much as you might think I am doing that for myself, I am not, because I assure you I'm okay. I am very still and calm, and I will continue to be that way because I have mentally been preparing for this for a while. But I do think it's important to be honest with people who are being so generous with their emotions. To take advantage of that would be just very gross.
Let's see. Jared says he never got to ask Kevin this question. I don't know if you know the context or not. Hair of the dog, Nazareth, or Brittany Fox?
He's probably going to go with Nazareth, probably, but he did like Brittany Fox. Actually, I'm changing my answer. I'm going with Brittany Fox. It's a hair metal thing.
AVP of sex. Oh, Cloudy says, sup, guys. Been a
Oh,
while.
that's Cloudy.
Yeah.
What's up, Cloudy?
Let's see. Chris Matthews, our buddy, says, rest easy, Kev.
Thank you, Christopher.
I like this one. Kane Das Rifle. I think that's it. Traveled the world with his voice in my ears. Coach trips, train journeys, flights, car rides, dentist appointments, you name it, through good times and bad times, crucially lonely times.
That's wow. And that Alice in Chains picture is pretty dope. Thank you.
Let's see. Forever grateful, R.A.P. KC. That's Kane
Thank
Das
you.
Rifle. Let's see. Yeah, DGS label. That was, I feel like Kevin was trying to survive in New York as a lone wolf.
Yeah, that's a very interesting perspective there. I don't know that you're wrong.
Dirk says, I thought the Dark Trez and Mist show was amazing to hear about the off-air Kev, and hearing how much he helped strays was extremely touching.
Yeah, he was a big cat guy, and Shah, that was something I know you kind of felt about him too. That was something that you and him had when I got closer to you, when you started talking to me about like feeding the squirrels and feeding the pigeons and da 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 da, and saving these birds, and I was like, oh, this is like Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's like one of the things I definitely obviously liked about him, aside from like the wrestling knowledge and all that stuff. And I like New York people in general, so him having a New York accent and just having that persona obviously helped. But yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I'm a big proponent for animals and helping them out. So that gained my respect right off the bat before I ever had a conversation with him, just because if you treat animals well, man, that's how I judge people based off of how you treat
Yeah,
animals. If you put your fucking grocery cart back, that's
yeah.
there's a couple random things that I judge people on, and animals is definitely what I usually judge people's
Animals and
character.
I think animals and then putting the cart back. We're gonna keep the animals there. We'll put the cart a little like there.
Yeah, exactly. And
Let's
kids,
see.
of course.
And children and the elderly. That's another thing too. Like, are you shitty to old people?
Oh,
Not
yeah.
my guy.
At least some
Uh,
old people can be dicks, though. You know what I mean? Like,
oh
some
yeah.
some old people
Trust
can be
me.
dicks.
Trust me. You don't want a geriatric boomer planning your funeral.
Yeah, exactly.
Where are we, B show?
Let's see. Christy Weidender says, "Did Kevin?" Oh, that's a good question. Did Kevin ever have a different job outside the music thing? I always wondered how he could make enough money to live in NYC. None of our business, I know, but I always wondered.
Well, Kevin booked bands, and he was someone who's been in podcasting for 20 years. So there's a couple of different avenues there. But no, he never had like conventional jobs ever. The last conventional job he had, I think Bush Senior was president.
JW says, "R.I.P. Kev. Thank you, John, for speaking honestly and reminding people that there's life to be lived, and we only get to live this life once, so we need to make the most of it. Goodbye, Kev."
Thank you, JW, and that's a big part of this conversation too. I mean, I'll talk more about this. I am gonna do. We are gonna do a short little Patreon after, just because so many people in the Patreon. I mean, I literally could point to every name in the Patreon. There's a lot of names in there, and 90% of them have contacted me directly. And I just think that you have an obligatory feeling towards that. But I feel very strongly about this not living the gimmick thing. I feel very, very strongly about it because I've seen this corrupt people, and there's probably a lot of people who are living this internet online gimmick and not living a real life outside of the internet online gimmick. So, but thank you for saying that.
John JLD 999 says,
Young
"Just
John.
popping in, y'all. Hope you're doing good tonight."
All right, what's up, Young John?
Uh, Willie T. John's words on the DT show really hit home. The frustration and anger, I'll unfortunately more than understand. It hurts when you know it didn't have to be this way.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the sadness is you know soul crushing, but I'm really focusing on my anger right now, and I'm not angry like I'm punching walls. I'm just angry that this preventable thing, that someone that had all of this going for them, but it wasn't enough to make them sustain their own life. It's a very, very difficult, and it's your, and oh, by the way, and it's your brother. It's just it's a combination of just awfulness. But yeah, I mean, it's very important to me. And look, I know for some people, they were very uncomfortable and they verbalized that they were a little uncomfortable about, like, they just want me to say that, Kevin was the greatest guy ever, and he was always laughing, and he was always having a good time, and he was the life of the party. But Shah, I think that's a terrible, terrible thing to overshadow, because I think there are more people like Kevin and less people that are actually doing that good thing in life. And I think we need to be brave enough to say that we are like this, that we don't have this kind of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think the show that you did on Monday, with DT and kind of shedding light on, like pulling away the curtain and kind of just like not kayfabing it and just being truthful about everything. I think a lot of people can probably relate to that, man. Like, especially like not to stereotype wrestling fans, but like,
Yeah.
like a lot of us probably were kind of outcasts, like kind of like, like, I mean, I was never nerdy, but like I was an outcast, but there's, nerdy guys like, that might be like socially awkward, people like that.
Yeah.
Like I feel like a lot of wrestling fans can probably relate to
Sad,
that.
depressed, lonely, not a
Yeah,
lot of friends. The things you
yeah,
like are not popular in a circle of popularity.
yeah.
I mean, that's the other
And
thing. I'm sorry, brother.
no, I was just gonna say using like that channel of whatever your hobby is, whether it's comic books or wrestling, whatever, using that as an escape to kind of make it your life. Like I think that's very relatable to a lot of people, not just wrestling fans. I mean, even horror movies. We talk about horror movies. A lot of horror fans are very much the same.
Very reclusive.
They live
Very
vicariously through these things.
antisocial. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, be sure like the horror community, the comic community, the gaming community. Um, you know, uh, there's a theme running through this. Regardless of how popular these things are, we as people who support these things are not the popular people.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about that a few times on the show where like I think at certain times all three of us as kids or young adults, adolescents, we were into something that wasn't cool and we were called and I not to use the word as a pejorative, but like the words you were called back in the day, you're gay or you're
Yeah.
stupid or
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
no,
like
that you yeah, if you were anything outside of the fringe, you were called the word faggot and fag. They
yeah.
called you that. Whether you were a metalhead, an emo kid, if you were can you imagine a cosplayer in my time, somebody who
Oh my
cosplayed, what
God.
would happen to them? Do you
Jesus
imagine?
Christ.
Do you imagine a cosplayer in the 80s and 90s?
Yeah. And we've talked
Unsafe.
about that. Like we all know how that is because we've all been in that spot, but then we've also been in that spot where now the public has accepted it. Now it's cool and it still
Oh yeah,
doesn't feel right, you
still
know?
doesn't feel right. No, it still
So
doesn't feel right.
so like even when shit's cool, you can still feel like a fish out of water. And I think that was the thing that I hit on when you guys were talking Monday about, like I said, why didn't he do this? People were telling him, and it's the depression, man. It's
Yeah,
the loneliness and the depression. That's what it is. Because
yeah,
no matter how many people were following him, no matter how many good conversations he had with people, no matter friends like Cross, and like he's meeting people in the industry and befriending them. Like this would be, I
yeah,
think, exactly what he want to do,
yeah.
and inspiring people.
He was in Rolling Stone. He was on UFC TV for the Punk
Yeah.
fight. It's like they were like one of the first shows to get 1 million downloads when that was like a thing, and it's not enough, and that's the problem is it's not
Yeah.
enough.
That's the
It's
sickness. You
not
can't
it's
feel
not a
that. Yeah.
substitute for human contact. It's not a substitute for a partner in this life. It's not a substitute for a good night out with your friends or a great restaurant or a blowjob that was off the charts that you're going to remember for the rest of your life, whether you were giving it or receiving it. I'm just saying there's no substitute for these things. Likes on a post are great. I get my fair share. It's cool. Engagements are nice. I get my fair share. It's cool. But compared to these other things, to going on vacation, to playing with my dog, to watching my fucking oldest, graduate college in a month. Fuck out of here. It's not the same. I'm sorry. We should probably start rolling through this a little bit better.
Well, good timing. Rich B said, I had a family friend that had heart issues. Same thing happened to him where he didn't take proper care of himself, John. These are the important conversations to have.
They are. They most certainly are. Especially as we're all aging. Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed, but you're getting older. You might not be as old as me or as B, maybe, or even Shah. You're going to get there. You don't want to wake up and go, oh, this is going to be so much harder because I am old. The idea is to do it when you're young and make it a part of your life. You still have your fun, still fuck up every now and then, but it's not just about like food and diet and exercise. It's also about socializing, sunlight, you know, joy. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. We should keep rolling here.
It's all right. Jeff Lippman,
Oh,
can't
Lippman.
imagine.
I forgot. Yeah. Shit. I tried to
Yeah.
get him in the spaces the other day.
Can't imagine what you're going through. Our thoughts are with your family, and I'm way too concerned about the neighborhood cats and raccoons now.
Yeah, well, it's also the season's nice now, so it's not the winter anymore. So they'll acclimate as they do.
My buddy Joe Punchy says, we all talk about listening to Soup, Spitball, DTKC, etc. as a form of escapism for us. And I feel like Kev being on as Kev Castle in many ways, as many of his plethora of shows was the absolute escape for him. Yeah.
Yeah, it was his escape, but what happens when the podcast is over? You know what I'm saying, Shah? Like what happens when, oh, that was a great recap of Raw and it was funny and I had a good line and I got some engagements, but then you log off, right? It's more about what happens when you log off, not when you log on.
No, absolutely, man. And I mean, I got into podcasting fuck, man, 12 years ago now. I can't
Wow.
even believe it. It's been 12 fucking years. But for me, it was the same thing. It was kind of an escape. I wasn't happy. And then even later on, when I was like in an unhappy relationship, like I looked forward to just doing a show so I could just get away from fucking people. You know,
Right.
but everybody has different reasons for escaping, even people that have somebody living with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't
Get away
necessarily
from the
escape
person
for
they're
the,
with.
yeah, I didn't necessarily escape for the same reasons as him to socialize with
Ah,
people. I was escaping to get
ah.
away from somebody I was unhappy with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
For
yeah, man.
sure.
I really think everybody should really just, you know, I know I have, man. I've tried to reach out to people that I haven't talked to in years because it kind of,
Yeah. I'm
and this
so
happens to me
impressed
every
with you,
few
man.
years, dude.
When you
No,
told
this
us that
happens to me every
offline, I
few
was
years.
like, wow. But you know what, Shah? Not
Yeah.
for nothing. That's your personality, though. Like you're not. You are not like you're not like a Sicilian grandmother. You carry grief and anger and hate the person till you die and spit on the ground when they walk by. You're mad,
No.
you're big mad, and you're legitimately mad. And then some time goes by and you go, I think I'm all right with that. Like I'm gonna make that better. Like I feel like, that's a very strong quality to have, man.
I think I had issues with accountability when I was younger. So like now, man, I really try to hold myself accountable. Like if I'm a dick, I will apologize. I like I told you, I hit up Boxman and I apologized to him. I was like, yo, man,
Unbelievable.
I quit the show and I called you a pussy live on the air, and I said I would fuck you up in real life if I ever saw you. Like that was a dickhead move of me. I was immature, I was emotional and angry. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. Like
Wow.
I felt like a dick. You know what I mean? I never said it until today. Yesterday, I reached out to 2 days, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt the need to apologize because I'm like, yo, like life is short, man. What if I die tomorrow? What if he dies tomorrow? Like I don't
Yeah.
want him thinking, yo, I spent thousands of hours talking to this guy for 5 years weekly, and
Yeah.
this guy fucking bashed me and we never spoke again. You know what I mean? So,
Well, that's pretty
um,
awesome. Wow. B
yeah.
show, do you think about like any kind of reconciliation?
There's one I'm on the fence with. There's a couple people I might
Is this your
call.
Gumar?
No, a guy who tried to. Okay, best
Oh, I think I
friend.
know what you're gonna say, so maybe don't say it.
Oh no, we've talked about this on the air
Okay,
before.
okay.
It's
I
fine.
was trying to block you there.
No, it's all right. No, it was a best friend I grew up with, and there was an issue with him talking to my wife, and
Yeah.
we had words, and I don't think I can get over that. But there are definitely some other people that, yeah,
Yeah. I think
I'll
you're
be
okay. I
calling.
think you would be okay not reconciling that one, but if you
Yeah,
did,
yeah.
that's amazing. And there might be a lot of other things
No,
going.
fuck that.
Who knows what was going on in that person's head? Like honestly, maybe they had nothing and
Mhm.
nobody and they were beaten to death. It's like you just don't fucking know, man. Honestly, you just don't
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I would be like, fuck that motherfucker. I'm sorry, we should keep it moving.
Mad Max says sup everyone. What's up, Mad Max?
Old friend right there, man, Max.
DRWC show says much love, John.
Thank you. There's a guy I know right there too. Yeah.
Let's see. Tepco TV, I feel that, John. It's how I felt when my mom passed. So much that anger and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rich Dow, I'm type 2 diabetic. I understand. The wife never shuts up about it. She's also a medical professional, so I get it.
Yeah. You live with it. Yeah, you live with that person always keeping you in check, which might be a good thing.
The Kimster, Kimmy Kincaid says sending love.
Kim. Thank you, Kimmy.
Let's see. Ryberg 84, as someone who lost a lot, from my vantage point, you have to be honest of what happened sometimes.
Yeah. And I think that, you know what, B show, like I think that's important because there's the grief, there's the loss, there's the anger, there's the sadness, but then there's also, especially when it's a death of despair, there is you have to address that. Like
Yeah,
one thing,
because
one, and by, I don't mean to cut you off, but one thing
no,
I've
no, you're good.
noticed in the last couple of years, because I'm a lot older than you guys, a lot of people I know are dying. And when I see that they die, some of it is tragic, like randomness, long-term cancer, car accident, drugs. But unfortunately, some of it is suicide. And I have a very, very specific feeling about that I've talked about quite a bit here, going back to my close friend from 2014 who passed away, who was a young guy. He was the age you guys are now. Okay. Um, this is in 2014. And that was also the year my father died. So like not even 6 months apart. But there's something I've noticed a lot of these people, I'm finding out they died. I might not know them well. And there is no discussion as to how they passed away because there is some sort of stigma behind it, and I feel like I want to know how someone passed away. It's important to me, especially if it was something avoidable or preventable, because that might save another motherfucker. That might save another person. That might save a lot of other people. You know what I mean? And it might not, but that's my interpretation of that.
I agree, and I think it's two things. One, don't speak ill of the dead. People think you're disrespectful.
Yeah.
But I also think it goes back to the whole like fantasy thing we talked about 5 to 6 minutes ago, especially with wrestling fans. It's like there'll be some shitty, shitty wrestlers who did shitty things, and the second they die, it's like, oh my god, I remember when I saw him at the
Oh
Tri
yeah.
Center Civic Auditorium, and it's like,
You signed
what?
my hat, and then we did a bump off of my key in the parking lot. Right,
So I
Shah?
think it comes
Shah,
with
by the way,
territory.
Shah knows wrestlers a lot better than you do. I'm sure Shah has seen this plenty where a wrestler has died, and Shah goes, "Oh, I don't know something about that
I mean,
guy." Moving right along.
I don't want. Oh well, I mean, you teased it, so I gotta say something now. I don't want
Oh
to not to
no!
fucking.
Oh
I don't wanna,
no! Oh god!
not to throw anybody under the bus, but there was a reason. So I had one of the last appearances with Road Warrior Animal. I had like the last signing with him,
Wow.
and there was a reason I didn't post up a rest in peace
Mm,
when he passed away a couple months afterwards.
Jesus. All
And
right.
I'll
Well,
leave it
that's
at
all we're gonna say. Yeah, let's leave it at that.
that. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we should probably leave it at that. I'm sorry, Bisho guy.
Sorry, SP. I find it impressive that in spite of his depression, he always managed to deliver when in front of the mic. I suppose that speaks to how the show's kept him going.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Sure.
Let's see. Walter says he's tuning in while he's at work, but wanted to quickly chime in and say that I hope you guys and everyone in the chat is holding up all right during this heartbreaking time. Rest easy, Kev.
All right, Walter. Thank you for checking in with us.
DRWC says Kevin would be happy to see all the tribes coming together, and he'd be like, "Shit," and I'm not there to hang out. That's
Yeah,
true.
that is true, and that's always the way it goes. It's like and Mission DT haven't. They separated from doing shows a while ago. That's not a thing we're going to discuss or whatever. But you know, they had no problem being like, yeah, we got to talk together, and that was a big thing too. And I'm so proud of the two of them for doing that. Not that they have acrimony, but that they used to do shows, they stopped doing shows. Kevin at one point stopped doing shows with DT. They went back to doing shows. So that was actually really fucking tremendous.
Brother Joe,
Oh, Joe.
appreciate the support of this community. Would give anything for my brother to have taken better care of himself. Our family will never be the same. Rest in peace, my brother.
Absolutely.
Brian Hurt. I listened to DTKC for many drives from Kentucky to Chicago for many years since around 2000.
Oh, it's cut off.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't see
I'm
the
sorry,
date.
it's cut off.
Is it 2010 maybe?
2010
Yeah,
or
it's just
20,
2010.
2010.
2010. All right. Oh, thank you, Brian.
Let's see. Yes, his death was day apart, and Warrior's speech rings true now. That's true.
Yeah. Oh, and he loved the Warrior. He had a giant Warrior poster on on the closet in our house.
AJ Daniels,
Oh,
what's
what's
up,
up, AJ?
guys? John, my thoughts are with you and your family, my friend.
Thank you, AJ. Appreciate that, man.
Let's see. Richard says, much love, John and Joseph.
Thanks, Rich.
Let's see. Yeah, everybody's giving love to Joe. That's cool to see.
Wow, that's nice.
Christy Widener, John, do you think Don Tony was alarmed that he wouldn't meet after all those years? I used to think that the whole thing about them not meeting over the years was a joke, but I guess not.
Yeah, I mean, I had to try to broker that when we did the soup appearance. Shah was there in Brooklyn. Was that 6 years ago, Shah? God, was it?
I think
Yeah.
so.
6 years ago now. Oh, to the day almost,
It
actually.
was the year
6 years
before
ago.
COVID, right?
Yeah, it was 6 years ago, almost to the day, the other day. And I remember talking to DT outside privately, and DT was a little upset that Kevin didn't come. But I knew he was never showing up. I remember Mish saying, I'm flying all the way to Chicago. We're renting a house in Jersey, and you're going to tell me he's not going to show up? I go, oh, he's never coming. Just never coming. I was like, forget it. He's not coming. Yeah, that was alarming, but I can't say what was in anybody's heads at the time. I know. I mean, I wasn't really. I knew that he just was not ever going to show up to any of these things. Doesn't matter, because he was doing that for a long time prior to that anyway. This is not something that just started with the podcast. This was something that started it in the late '90s, mid '90s, and never stopped. So, but yeah, I imagine I can't say what was in anybody else's head.
Yeah, I remember when we did that show during WrestleMania weekend. I was with you, man. I even called it. I was like, "There's no way Kev's coming." And the only reason I knew that was because at the time I was doing DT's like artwork for his YouTube channel, you know. And I remember I had hit up Kev several times asking him like, "Yo, man, can you send me an updated picture of yourself? So because I'm redrawing your logos, I want to make
I know
sure
this story.
I make it accurate."
I know.
And he was very uncomfortable with it. Like he didn't want to send me any
angry.
pictures. Like,
Yeah, you were mad too.
Yeah.
You were mad at him. You were like, you
No,
told me.
I was annoyed with him. Yeah, no.
Yeah, you were like, if
yeah,
it wasn't your brother, I would have said a lot more. I was like, I get it, man.
Yeah, no, I had to watch my mouth a little bit.
Yeah,
I got pretty.
He
angry
calls
with him.
me up. I think, and he goes, "Dude, man, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck's wrong with your brother?" I was like, I'll tell you.
Ever since then, I figured out. I was like, okay, he's a little insecure about what he looks. He's uncomfortable with
Which is crazy in a wrestling space. I mean,
right?
of all
no one
spaces,
would care. No one would give a shit. No
all
one would care.
Spaces.
Yeah.
This is like saying in 20 years ago, I don't want to go to the Comic-Con convention because I don't want someone to make fun of my glasses, B-Show. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus,
it's
man.
Like when you grade on that curve, Kev, there's nothing wrong with Kev. You know what I mean? Like we've all been to shows where dudes literally pour themselves out of cars. I think Jim Cornette uses the term human
pour
water
themselves
beds.
out of cars. Jesus Christ.
But like I sat in second row to Ring of Honor show to a bunch of dudes that smelled like dog and like they hadn't showered in a month. It's like you're telling me you're worried about
And there
your
was
look
no
and...
dog there. There's no dog. Where was the dog? Yeah, no, it's just but that's part of the psychological damage to yourself. Is like, I can't go. People will make fun of my looks. I was like, did you see the people that you think are going to make fun of your looks? Like, where are you getting this? But by the way, I think that was just a convenient excuse because once you put that out there, it's like, well, they're going to make fun of me of how I look. So you're not going to make me go do it now, right? It's like, oh, no. To me, like, it was an excuse. It was a convenient excuse merited with no merit whatsoever. We should, let's keep this moving here.
Tyler the Trademark.
Oh, I know Tyler.
Yeah, he said wanted to pop in and say much love to y'all. Kev will live on forever.
Thank you, Tyler.
Let's see.
Oh,
Mandy says going to miss listening to Kev. Now what to listen to on Mondays?
I don't know,
Don
man.
Tony's still there.
Don Tony, I assume he's still going to do the show. I can't speak to anything he's doing right now. I'm sure he's not really thinking about that right now at all. I can tell you, he's probably not really thinking about that too much right now.
Sitting up in the cheap seats, Fatty and myself were in awe when Kevin came on to the Bayou Geeks with us for the first time.
Yeah, Kevin would talk to everybody, man. He was that dude. I'll talk to you. I don't care.
I said something about that. I think when I called in on the Spaces, I had a weird idea for. I had a weird idea for a wrestling show, like the what ifs and shit. Like, what happened if Hogan didn't show up? Like, what the fuck would they have done? And questions like that. And the first person I thought of was Kevin because he had like an encyclopedic knowledge. Because it's one thing to look at wrestling and go, "Oh, these guys were big stars," but like, who do you know around the territories? Like, what do you think would have happened? And it was a long shot. And he was the king of Monday night podcasts. And immediately, yeah, man, when? Just let me know. And I was like, really?
I don't know anybody that ever really turned down. I honestly, I just feel like if you had a show and you weren't an asshole, okay. Because he just loved talking about this shit so much. And, Shah, sometimes you get asked to do things and it feels really good. And sometimes you get asked to do things and you're like, I don't know if I want to do that,
Yeah, and that's happened many times over. I'm
and it will continue to happen.
You put yourself on the internet, man. You're gonna get requests that you necessarily don't want to do.
It's part of the game.
It's part of the game, bro.
Part of the fucking game.
It's what you signed up for.
It is what you signed. You asked for it.
You signed up to get trolled. You signed up to get hatred.
Signed up for the love and the hate equally. You cannot have one without the other.
Yep.
B-Show, where are we at?
Freddie J, New York Hardcore Lost a Legend.
Thank you, Freddie J.
Monsieur Hidan says, "Hey Drapes, love you. Hope you'll be okay, man."
Thank you, Monsieur Hidan.
Let's see. Trying to again more conversation.
Yeah, I know it's typical.
I
did not give you an easy task, B-Show, but we knew this was going to be. We knew this was going to be.
That's all right. Digital Lizard is in the house. He says,
"Old school.
No words, only love for the years of memories, the people behind those memories, and the people they've been shared with. Kev will always be a part of that for me since around 2008."
Yeah, Digital Lizard goes way back. I know that name for a long time. Thank you, Digital Lizard.
I remember him from the Hot Tag. He used to listen.
Yeah, he goes back. Yeah, he's an OG too. He's an OG around this space too.
Let's see. I'm looking for most of it's conversational here.
Yeah. Are people sharing recipes? What's going on in there?
I
Like
was just talking about,
crosstalk?
yeah,
Yeah, that's
which
fine.
is
Hey,
cool.
that's what we're here for.
Kev's last promo will forever be my favorite. It was epic from Prince MVQ 3CS.
Oh yeah, he cut promos a lot.
Rojo Bear 24 discovered DTKC through TV tracks in 2012. If it weren't for that YouTube channel, I wouldn't be a fan today.
TV trap. Wow, damn, another TV tracks reference.
Let's see. Okay.
Yeah, I forgot about that
Johnny
channel.
Rosado.
Oh, Johnny.
Kevin's wrestling knowledge, his rants on Janelle Grant, female wrestlers, asses, and the herbs cured my depression. I keep crying about Kev being gone, and I've never met him in my life.
Ah, thank you, Johnny.
Let's see. Monsieur Hidan, I've been listening to the show since 2012 and wrestling soup here in France and loved Kev and you in Soup Drapes. I hope Mish and everyone will be okay in time.
Oh, thank you, Masar Hidan, all the way from France. Thank you.
Let's see. Prince again, God bless you, John, and my condolences go out to you and your family.
I really appreciate that, Prince. Thank you.
CMAC, Vince's booking was impossible to watch for years. DTKC was always a better listen Monday nights than 3 hours of Raw.
Yeah, and you guys know from doing these things, like Shah, it's way easier a job when the product doesn't suck, but when the product sucks, it's hard.
Sometimes when the product sucks, though, it makes the best shows because you get to go on rants and bitch about it for hours. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's as a host, it's tough to sit through, but as a listener, if the product
It's
is
the
dog shit,
best.
chances are the shows are going to be better. You know?
Bisha, what would you rather be, a wrestling podcast during a bad period or a wrestling podcast during a good period?
Oh, bad for sure.
Because you can
Like,
say whatever
and
you
that's
want.
the thing. That's the thing I didn't get. Like that, why AEW fans were mad at like Soup and guys like that for shitting on stuff. It's like, no, those are the best shows. You don't get it. Like, they were shitting on WWE when it was terrible too. So,
Mm.
man, it's the best. Let's see. BC22. I'll miss Kevin's humor. He would always crack me up, especially this one time when he mentioned Adrian Street's "I'm in love with me" on
Oh yeah, we used to
DTKC.
watch that video. Yeah, we used to rent it. I'm in love with me. Exotic Adrian Street.
Let's see. Juriari said, "Hey guys."
Oh, wow, big time in us. No, I know, Drew. Just kidding.
Yeah, that was back at like
Who could
9:17.
forget
So
when Drew Yari said, "Hey guys," in the Kevin Castle Memorial Show? Just kidding.
he should have a show called "Hey Guys" and
Hey
pair it with
guys,
Rich
hey
Dow.
guys with Hey Now Rich Dow, featuring Hey Now Rich Dow.
Johnny Rosado. I wish Kevin knew how much he touched perfect strangers. John, your brother's legacy of humor, kindness, friendship, and love will never die. Do you know if DT will keep the show named
Oh,
DTKC
thank
Show?
you, Johnny. But honestly, DT is carrying this very heavy right now. Like, I don't know what he's thinking. I can't. There's no right answer, or I feel like everything would feel wrong. I don't expect any significant changes. And now, of course, Mania is coming up. It's very difficult, but I don't envy what DT and Mish are going to have to do from a wrestling show perspective.
DeMarcus, he
Oh,
says,
what's
I
up,
love
Mark?
you, Kev. Was supposed to watch Jaws for the first time and tell him what I thought tonight. Want to get a tattoo in your memory, but I can hear you go, that's retarded. I hate people with tattoos.
DeMarcus takes the night with the comment. Thank you, DeMarcus.
Drew says he had Trez and RJ on last night, and Joe
I heard.
Punches joined them to talk about Kev. So
Yeah, I
check that
heard.
out.
Thank you, Drew.
Let's see. Chris Matthews says one of the pieces of advice Kev gave him was to be himself. Wow, that's
Find people to do a show with them fairly quiet. Oh, thank you, Chris. That was wow. That was great. Be yourself. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I wish he took more of that advice himself. He was great. A lot of people are great with giving advice, but not great with taking it for themselves. We're all like that. It's not a Kevin thing. We're all like that.
it. Just struck me as so ironic based on what we were talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Jamie Meme Machine Sheen at 47. As horrible as the situation is, the only positive that could be found in this is it might be a wake up call. I know I've been going for longer walks all this week.
Boom. Well, then you know what? Good. In that regard, something good's got to come out of this for some people because it's not going to be us. So let's let it be let it be you. I'm hoping that it's you.
Guardian of Chaos, good evening, man.
Another poignant comment. I love it. Thank you, Guardian of Chaos. I know I'm just breaking balls.
Let's see. Yeah, the Guardian also says condolences to you and your family.
Thank you, Guardian. I love that picture there.
Let's see. Marquis says, John, the Spaces on Tuesday, you answered more calls than he did at the Q&A at the call center.
Yeah, I actually had about like 50 in the queue. I might have to do another one. I'm talking to a couple of people who had reached out to me and said, "Hey, that was insane. If you want to do another one, I'll help you because it's just too much to navigate." And thank God Mish jumped in there the last minute. I was in over my head, and Driari too. But thank you.
Let's see. And he also shared his brother just passed in December at 63, didn't take care of
Oh,
himself,
Jesus,
basically ate
Guardian.
himself to death.
Terrible. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. That was not long ago at all.
Golf franchise says Kevin was like the penguin from Batman. Instead of penguins, he had cats.
Yeah, the kind of yeah. And then remember at the end with all the penguins at the end, that was so depressing. Remember that
They
shot with
carried
the
him off.
penguins? That was so depressing. Oh, wasn't
Yeah.
that brutal?
I haven't seen that movie in so long, but that's the portion I'll never forget.
Yeah, I don't know that I would feel the same seeing it now after that comment though. So, but thank
Right.
you.
Daddy Ugarte says R.I.P. Kevin Castle.
Thank you, Daddy Ugarte.
Let's see.
More of the conversations.
Yeah.
I got you.
And I'm trying to hit up people who haven't
Yeah.
commented yet.
Let's see if we can before we wrap
Yeah.
up soon.
Buff Egan, I always listen to Kev over here in Ireland every Monday night. I loved his raw passion, always called out bullshit, always felt he would have been a great hype man in WWE, a real character.
Yeah, he could have if he played his cards right, he should have had a job in the industry, like a paying job. Like he could have been a booker, he could have been, a writer. I hate to do the could have been shit, but yeah, but thank you for saying that.
Galactic Wrestling Federation says,
Galactic,
thank you,
my friend.
KC, for the memories and getting me back into the world of wrestling.
Shout out to Galactic Wrestling Federation. Damn, I got another brother in here. And I think my ex-wife is in here.
Jesus Christ. Don't kill friends. Kev really did make an impact on so many people. I hope he knew that his voice did a lot of good for a lot of people.
Yeah, I feel like he did know that. Like he was not humble about some of this stuff. I will say, his sense of what he brought to the table. He had a big understanding of that. You know what I mean? But I, it was part of the gimmick. I think too was that he couldn't be humble. When he starts cutting promos on you in real life, B-Show, that's when you have to kind of pull the plug there.
Nicholas Doc, John, you're doing amazing speaking up. We all love Kev Castle, but sorry we never got to know Kev Scandato. R.I.P. Kev, you're going to be sadly missed.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about this on Patreon, because there's a very big difference. I'm actually going to do a very specific show on Patreon, like I mentioned earlier, but we're going to do a post show in a little bit where we're going to talk a little bit more about some of this in detail, just for the Patreon community, like the people who make up a good portion of the people that really supported Kevin.
Let's see. PC Pierce. Kevin's personality was too big for him to be judged any way but positive. Love you, Kev. P.S. Shout out to Mish for just being an amazing friend.
Yeah, if you haven't heard Mish this week,
the dude is crushed, like absolutely
Yeah.
shattered.
yeah, he's having a really hard time, and it's very real. It's a very real, painful thing for Mish and for Don Tony. It's a very and for Trez, and for Carolyn, and for Joey. Joey really, if you didn't hear the end of Soup, Joey really, he had a really hard time.
Here we go. Mark Scandato, what's up from Orlando, fellas?
Yeah, my brother is in Orlando. That's that guy, but that's the singer from Shutdown. Wow.
Yeah, with the viral video a few weeks ago. What was it called, John?
What's that? Well, he's got two big viral videos. Actually, he's got two
Oh,
big
shit.
videos. Yeah.
Two now. Amazing.
Yeah, they got two big ones.
Yeah, check out Shutdown. He says it's amazing to see the amount of people Kevin impacted in a positive way.
Dude, my brother Mark is so funny because my brother Mark's a pretty well-known dude, and like, he's doing a tour next week. He's got that they had to move some things around because of my brother's tour. He's got some more tours coming up, and my brother Mark is so disconnected from the wrestling community that the other day he was like, "Wow, Kevin's like more well-known than me, you, and Mike combined." And I said, "Mark, Kevin is more well known than me, you, and Mike plus 100 of us combined. What are you talking about? Like, but he's just so, you know what I'm saying, Shah? Like, if you're not in the wrestling space and you know this person, as your brother or as a friend in a different way, and then you find this out, it's kind of shocking.
Well, I mean, just look at the comments. Look how many people are actually just mentioning that, Kevin DT got them back into wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, that says a lot. I've seen B-Show pull, I think 3-4 comments by now that multiple people have said that they got back into wrestling because of Kev.
Yeah.
Big influencer.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark. Good luck with that shutdown band. I heard good things.
Yes. And go check out Shutdown, the band. Do it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. They're coming to a town near you.
Yes. John Smith, this is Michael Smith, if you've
Michael
known him from
Smith.
following Soup. I haven't conversed with or listened to Kevin a while now, but always appreciated his insight on wrestling. I had planned to send him Gary Hart's audiobook. I think he would have liked that. R.I.P.
He
Kev.
would have fucking really liked that. And that's very nice of you to say. And I know you would have done that. Thank you.
Let's see. Pierce also said, you'll appreciate
Pierce.
this. My wife thought Kev was good looking, but then again, she married me, Kevin's stunt double.
Your wife is too good looking for all of us, my friend. Who you kidding?
Yeah, he hit the lottery with that
You
one.
hit the. He knows he hit the lottery.
Keep that woman happy, dude.
And those beautiful babies.
Yes. Hope you guys are doing well. It's been a while. Let's see. The Dell show. It feels really unreal. I think we're about caught up now. DTKC finally got me back into wrestling, back in the TV tracks.
Yeah,
days.
Dells goes back a long time too, by the way. Dells is an
Another
OG. Right, Shot like that name, and me, I'm like, oh, I know Dells. Dells
Yeah.
been around in this community for a really long fucking time.
Yeah, I think Don Tony actually put me in touch with Dells, if I can recall correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dells, but I think DT put me in touch with
Dells goes back. Dells goes back a big bunch of years.
Wasn't he a sneaker collector or something too?
Yeah,
he has
he interviews people too, but like he interviews people in music and wrestling and sneakers and
I think
stuff.
I did his logo. I think that's what DT put me in touch with him.
Yeah.
His YouTube logo.
Oh, okay.
Shout out to Dells.
Yeah. Ryan Polly says, "Love you, Kev. You were the man. You'll be missed."
Thanks, Ryan.
And then Dells returned. He said, "Love you, Draper and the family."
Thanks, Dells. Thanks, Dells. Yeah, check out the Sneaker Podcast. Are we caught up there, B?
We are caught up. Yeah.
Well, let me tell you guys something. This is going to be a very long road. It's going to be a very, very long road for a lot of people. I don't know really how else to say it other than I am super, super grateful for this support from my brother. I don't know what would have become of him if it wasn't for you guys the last like 10, 15 years. You guys gave him a sense of community and a sense of purpose that real life was not giving him, which is very unfortunate, because we want our real lives to be the thing that we cling to the most. But, it's impossible to deny that he had a strong impact on you guys. I mean, it just really, really is. Didn't Yuji just join in there? Yuji just joined in there. I'm sorry.
He did. I'm gonna pull this thing
Yeah,
back
if we
up.
could just pull him up, and then Anna, and then we'll just have some final thoughts here.
Husey says, "Rest easy, Kevin."
Thanks, Yuzi.
And Anna says, "I always wish Kev had done a Mets baseball podcast. Would have loved it. R.I.P. Kev."
Thank you, Anna. But Shah, I don't know that any of us are going to be remembered quite like this.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just as my final thoughts, if anybody can take anything away from this, like John said, get some sun, find your happiness, whatever that may be, try to socialize, I know depression is big in America, man. I mean, I think probably 70% of the country is depressed at this point. Get some help if you need to, man. Cause I mean, it's not just depression. It prevents you from moving forward in life in a lot of different aspects. It can definitely hold you back, but rest in peace, Kevin. Once again,
salute. B show.
I drank the whole thing, by the way. It was,
and he hated it, Kevin.
Hard.
He fucking hated it. He fucking hated it.
Kevin, sometimes I come up with these wacky comparisons to draw between people. Kevin reminds me almost like the Sabu of wrestling podcasts, where he and DT were around forever. Before a lot of other people. They were doing it before other people were really doing it or calling it podcasts. And now you see all these people coming after them. And people are making a lot of money and have a lot of success. And the way Kev went out, it is sad. and it
Yeah,
is
for sure.
cautionary. But I also think it's very fitting that he's getting this love and this respect because we've talked about people that have been touched by him or people that like to listen to him, right, to get through tough times. We haven't even scratched the surface on people who are inspired to start podcasts
Yeah,
by him.
yeah, for sure. And there's people who were inspired to book bands, to be a booker of bands because of him. Bisha, I think there was Perry Singh. I know that name going back. I just don't want to. That was somebody who we didn't read earlier. He's got a couple things in there,
He
and
says
then we'll head out.
the contagious laugh and most of all the positive energy I would feel from someone who is so passionate about what he spoke about. My sincerest condolences to all of Kevin's family and friends.
All right. Well, thank you, Perry. We're going to be heading out now. I am going to continue to give people an opportunity because it's such a large community, as insulated as it is. I'm going to give people an opportunity to speak on Kevin's behalf. I will, as time progresses here, I'm going to say almost nothing, but I'm going to listen and I'm going to just be grateful that you feel strong enough that you want to speak. I am okay. I promise you, I'm good. I have a very strong immediate family and a good life, and I'm grateful for that. And that's why I'm okay. That's why I'm okay. I also got you motherfuckers, and I also have the extended audience through my brother and through Mish and through DT and through Jason and through JD and I have all that. That's a lot. My cup is running over. I'm good. But if you're not good, if you're not okay, if you are lonely and you are alone a lot and you are not feeling right, I am asking you and I am pleading with you as a person, please do something. Take the small steps first. Talk to people. Look at this love that's going on for a person who is 56 years old and reclusive and motherfucker never left the house. And I gotta thank tens of thousands of people in 3 days. If I could show you my phone, I don't know that porn chicks get this much activity. I am overrun with people from the UK, from fucking Spain, from Asia, from the Middle East, from Boston to Brooklyn, from Poughkeepsie to Providence. I'm up night and day thanking people. Okay. And that's the kind of love they had for somebody who did not have that love for themselves. I encourage you, I promise you, you can fix your shit. It's worth fixing your shit. People give a fucking fuck. Okay. There are people right now in this chat room that are 20 something years old or 32 years old. And they're saying things like, I've been listening to this guy for 12 years. In what other facet of life is a 20-year-old giving a fuck what a 40-year-old says about anything, especially these days? But they cared about what this guy had to say. So please, I encourage you. It's not a joke. It's not a gimmick. This is real life. This is real life. And somebody lost their real life because they were so consumed with their gimmick. It's not okay. And we see this too much. And we need to see it less. And I am very, very, very grateful that I did not fall into this pitfall myself. Because if you would have saw me 12 or 13 years ago, you would have been like, this guy is not going to be around for a long time. This guy is in bad fucking shape. You know, I got my shit together. Okay. It's not an easy thing to do. Get your mental shit together, get your physical shit together, you know, put some energy and attention into something that's going to give you immediate joy and put these phones down, yo. Put these phones down. I'm telling you, go to the movies, go get something to eat, learn how to cook some shit, call an old friend, do what Shah did. Do you know what I mean? Call somebody who you're beefing with. This is not permanent, man. This is not permanent. But this pain is, this burden of pain is. And I am very grateful that I get to share these things with you. I will always be transparent with you. I might not always be here, but I'm always going to be transparent about these things. And there's a lot of ugliness to this that I will spare people with. But please take care of yourself. Be less shitty to people. There's a lot of douchebags, especially in this community. Fuck them. Just talk to the good people. There's good people. You're good people, and you've expressed so much love for my family. So from the family, for my brother, who would be over the moon with this, and in his own way, be like, "See, I told you, you know." Thank you. And we're gonna go into the Patreon. I'm gonna record a special Patreon episode about my brother this weekend for the Patreon family. But we'll be back to the regular show next week. Thank you guys so much. This was very, very, very meaningful for me. I hope it was meaningful for you. And I hope you guys have a safe night. And feel free to share your thoughts and feelings because I feel like a lot of people are really reacting to them in a positive way. So thank you and good night.